Hey, Little Sisters family, welcome to Behind the Bay, your new Little Sisters podcast where we're going to talk about everything trucking, truck washing, polishing, detailing, Little Sisters, and everything in between. I don't even know where we're going to go from there. But I'm here with Victor Perez. Victor is our Senior Operations Manager for Little Sisters. He's based here at our Thousand Palms location, where he has been the manager here for many years, and he's been through many positions. We're going to hear some really cool stories. And this is just a start. Hopefully we're going to have many more conversations, and we're going to take you guys on the road. We're going to visit Fontana, Barstow, Hesperia, Eloy, Arizona, and maybe some other locations coming soon. We want to talk to some of our customers. If you are a member of the Little Sisters family and you've been washing or polishing your truck with us, let us know. We'd love to sit down with you and hear your stories and your experiences. And yeah, sky's the limit from there. We want to have a lot of fun. We want to have some engaging conversations and bring you guys along for the experience. Welcome to Behind the Bay.
Well, it wasn't really, necessarily by choice.
Okay.
I was gonna have a baby. I was gonna become a father. A couple months after I started working, so I knew I needed to get a job and start working. And at that point, my mother was working here. My stepdad was a shift leader outside as
so
a
they were here
supervisor.
before you.
Yeah, all my sisters have worked here. I have 4 sisters.
I have 4 sisters too.
Yeah, 4 sisters, and now all of them have worked here because even my younger sister works here now. But my other 3 sisters, older than me, they've all worked here at one point or another.
Yeah.
So I mean, I came here. This was my first option because my mother told me, hey, you got to start working. You got to have to become responsible and have to step up. As a man now because you want to have a baby at some point. So
I mean, that's a pretty good reaction. Some people, when they hear the news of a baby, they run away.
Oh, that was me. That was me the first day, man. But hey, we had to make a decision, and so I started working at 16. I was brought in here by my stepdad and my mother. They kind of talked to the manager and let me come in. So I started working. I started working on swing shift with my stepdad as my supervisor.
Nice.
And one thing that I still have not forgotten till this day is that my stepfather, he shows up to work 1 hour early till this day. And he's been working, for 50 years plus.
Wow.
That's one thing that he told me right off the bat.
Wow.
Always be there early.
Okay.
There's that saying, right? If you're not early, you're not on time, or however that goes. 1 hour early is a little excessive, in my opinion. But, after doing it so long with him, he would give me rides. I wasn't driving at that point. We would show up here at 2 o'clock. Shift started at 3. But it got me used to it, so that's something that I do now, or that I was doing when I was a supervisor before coming up into management. But that prepared you for the day. Yeah. So you got here now early. It lets you kind of relax, kind of calm down a little bit before the day started. And then you also got to see how traffic was. You got to start planning before you even start your shift. You already kind of have a plan in motion. You start seeing traffic back there, and back then it was 6 bays of work. Yeah. So it was like nonstop. We had lines going all around the driveway, back into the main street here on Varner. It was very hectic. So it's like, if you don't have a plan, man, it's gonna be pretty difficult. So, he that's what I can remember from the first day. Apart from being small and very skinny, 16 years old, messing with working with all these older gentlemen that have been doing this for years. Yeah. Pretty difficult, man. No, man, I was just a small kid. At that point, I was just in high school, barely a sophomore. Yeah. No gym, nothing. Playing soccer all my life, so it kind of kept me slim. But yeah, it was a rude awakening the first day, man. They put me to wash the trailers,
which is the
most
trailers
is the most physical, taxing part of the whole entire job. Yeah. I mean, we have 10-foot poles.
People don't understand what we mean by that when you say like washing a trailer. It's like the pole that your brush is connected to is 8 feet long.
Yeah.
So
at that point they were 10 feet long, so they were a little bit longer. We shortened them after a few years.
And they're metal.
Yeah, or aluminum. So
aluminum.
So they're still pretty heavy, but the heavy part is the brush.
You have the block, and then you got the bristles, and it's wet.
Yep.
Because you're soaking
taking a bucket of soap and trying to drag it up and down.
And then you're just going up and down, up and down. I mean,
so that was pretty taxing for sure.
Yeah.
The first day I remember I got a blister where you put the bar of the pole. Yeah. That's where you put it here, and I got a big blister.
It's sliding up and down, up and down.
So I didn't show up to work the second day.
Did you get it right up?
No. I mean, luckily at that point it was my stepfather, my supervisor. But I showed him my blister, and I mean, I wasn't gonna be able to work even with the gloves. It was not gonna work. I was only gonna make it worse. So kind of didn't come the first day.
That's why I'm not gonna wash any trucks today.
Hey man, it's understandable. You don't want to make it worse than it is. So yeah, that was my first day. Hard work, but there was some sort of a feeling of like accomplishment, and you
Yeah.
kind of, I was a kid trying to become a man a lot sooner than I should have,
Yeah.
for my own decision making. But that first day when I got home, I was exhausted,
Yeah.
but I felt accomplished. I felt like I was ready for
Wow.
whatever happens next, whether it's becoming a father or, continuing work, and so forth, going into the workforce so early on
Yeah.
without really, not really doing it by choice.
To like take a little tangent. So this has nothing to do with work but I just feel like you're touching on something really serious here that a lot of people would benefit from. But you came back from work, you said, just tired, exhausted, but
Yeah.
then you feel accomplished. You feel like, oh man, I have like this big new chapter of my life that's about to start. Okay, I think I can push forward and handle this.
Yeah.
But imagine you didn't have that day at work. You were just sulking at home or just like in your thoughts or like, oh my God, or this or that. Tell me about that idea of like just working and staying busy with something productive.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, I think I just, I was kind of trained to kind of trained by seeing my mother
Yeah.
work for so long. I mean, she was a single mother for a very long time before she met my stepfather. Raised, 5 kids total by herself, pretty much. So I always saw her working. There's times where she was working from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., 2 shifts in one day. So it's like you had to kind of step up, and wasn't really able to be a kid all the time because you kind of, I had a younger sister, and my older sisters, sometimes they were going their separate ways, with their own families. So it was uh it was tough seeing that, but it also showed me what it was to be a responsible adult. In my case, a young adult at that point. It was either, you fly or run, man. Or however that saying goes, you got to make a decision. It's either you're gonna not be there, not take responsibility for what you did on your own, with your own decisions, or you're gonna step up and do what you've been taught your whole life, because she led by example. So now that had to be instilled in me.
Yep.
It was my choice to take it in that way, but I did, and thankfully I did, because it's brought me to, where I'm at now. I mean, some kids can't see that. Some kids, they're kids and they don't really see that until they're put in that situation. So with my son, my son's now 19 years old. He's a young adult himself, going into the workforce now, for about 2 years now. So he's, at first he didn't see it, although he always was very thankful for everything he did have and everything we were able to provide, myself and my wife, my current wife. We were able to provide everything that he's had. So he did see that, and he has two great examples to learn from and to want to be like, hopefully. But some kids, they just take it for granted too, because they didn't go through some rough experiences like myself, or people that came, a lot younger than I am. Everybody goes through different life experiences. So I just think that with him, my son, he had it fairly easy, although, probably not the easiest parent to deal with, because I do have my goals and expectations for my son. So, it might have been not too easy, but at the same time, he had everything he needed. He always had a roof over his head. He always had clothes on his back, food on the table. That never missed. That was never not going to happen. So, uh, hopefully that motivated him, which I do see it. He's out there working now, and trying to follow his own path. Whether he changes decisions all the time, but he's very young. No one really knows what they want to do at 19. Some people do, and some people don't.
Yeah, you guys are tearing up right
Take
now.
me back to day
So
one.
do you remember any thoughts that you had? You were like, what did I get myself into?
Oh,
I'm
100%.
definitely not coming back to this job. Like,
100%. Yeah, that's exactly what I felt like. Coming in here, although, like I mentioned before, my stepfather was a supervisor.
yeah,
Me myself, I felt like all eyes were on me,
yeah,
because I'm his stepson. Because everybody automatically assumes that I'm going to be a favorite, or that I'm going to get, given breaks here and there because I am family. I already came with that expectation, just because I think I would expect that from anybody else who was working with family. Like, oh, they're going to take it easy on them because that's your sister, your brother,
Yeah.
your mother. So I felt that pressure on top of what I was already feeling.
Yep.
Because, I was coming in to work with gentlemen that were here a lot longer than I have, a lot older than I am. I'm a kid working with men. So that pressure was definitely tough to deal with. When they were teaching me how to do something, or how to use the brush to go up and down the trailer, to wash it my first couple times. Sometimes I dropped the brush too far down and I had to pick it back up, and it was too hard for me or too heavy after you've been tired for a little while. So kind of like stopped and took a break. And, the guy that was training me at the time older gentleman, but at that, he was like in his 60s.
Wow.
And gray hair, man. I'm a kid, and this guy was a lot stronger than I was, and he wouldn't say anything, but he would just, you could tell by his the way he reacted to when I got tired. He just pick up the brush and do it himself, and he's like, "This is how you do it," So it was like tough love, for sure. It was respectful, but at the same time, we got a job to do, so it's like I can't just think like a kid and like, oh, someone's gonna come do it for me. No, we gotta either toughen up and push through it, or it's not gonna work out. So I had all that going on, but I definitely got the hang of it, after a little while, and luckily for the people that I worked with at the time, they were very understanding and helpful, and just me being who I was at that time, just seeing all these grown-ups, handling their responsibilities for whatever reason they have. I have my own reasons why I started working. Everybody has their own reasons,
Right.
and just seeing them push day in and day out, some with 2 jobs, coming here to do this physical work after working for another 8 hours doing something else, but yet they still come here and then they could outwash me. They can still show me things. Like, that was very like eye-opening. I was like, man, either I'm gonna be something like this, or I have to be a little bit smarter. Not that they're not smart, because they're achieving what they want, but either I'm gonna do this type of job, or I'm gonna use my brain a little bit better to still make a good living, but work a little smarter. It's work smarter, not harder. That's a saying. And we were open 365 days a week at that point too. So I had to work Christmas Day, graveyard, with my peers at the time. So I mean, a lot of people had to sacrifice family time to be able to provide for family.
You did cashiering as well.
Yeah.
Eventually transitioned to manager.
Yes.
And now senior manager, where now it's like not even just one facility, but now multiple facilities.
Yeah.
So like, that's like a lot of changes and consistent growth.
I could have easily given up after that first day, right? Got a big old blister. Last thing I wanted to do was pick up another brush and have it happen again.
Yep.
But it was definitely a life lesson at that point, because either I was going to give up or I was going to push through it.
Yeah.
Luckily, I decided to push through it at the time, and now I see how that affected my life now 20 years later.
Yeah.
I still have that mentality where I still want to keep, working and growing where possible, and take on any opportunities that come my way. So yeah, man, I mean, it was definitely something that shaped the way I am now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, thank you for sharing that, man. That makes me already grateful for you. That makes me more grateful, to hear more of these stories and more of these details. And
yeah, man,
really
there's a bunch of stories, 20 years worth of stuff, man. At some point we'll get to all that stuff, but that was the first day. It was tough work, tough work, lots of trucks, lots of yelling, and thoughts of giving up, but
what time of year was it?
It was during the summer.
So like similar to now. So it was hot too.
It was in April. Okay. Towards the end of April.
But April here is
already hot.
Yeah, it's already like 85,
at that point,
90 degrees.
The weather was summer was starting a lot sooner too, so April was hot.
Yeah.
So I had to deal with the heat, on top of that, but we did it.
Yes, you did. Yes, we did.
We got through it, man.
And we're here now more than 20 years later.
Yep.
Hell yeah. Amazing. Cool. Okay, we got some work to do. We got some paperwork to go through, some numbers.
Do it.
Some of it's gonna be some good numbers, some not good numbers. But yeah, we got to do this way more often, man. I want to hear all these amazing stories. It gets me excited. Little Sisters family, I would like to tell you about a great opportunity for us all to get together. California Trucking Show, October 4th and 5th. We are going to have a booth. Check out the booth number right here. It is going to be at the Ontario Convention Center. We're going to have our merch there. We're going to have our managers there. We are going to be selling truck washes at an insanely discounted rate. We've done this for 2 years in a row. We're going to do it for a third year this year, and we're going to do even bigger and better. Stay tuned. We are going to have a meetup, a Little Sisters family meetup. If you've ever washed with Little Sisters, if you've had a good experience, we want to hear about it. If you've had a bad experience, come and tell us about it. We'd like to make it right. It'll be on Saturday, the 4th of October, Ontario Convention Center, California Trucking Show. Come check us out.